My dad called me the disappointment of the century. So I built a $50 million empire while he delivers packages to my office. We can't keep going without your love. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us your location. We'd love to know where our stories reach. I was 12 years old when my father first called me the disappointment of the century in front of my entire extended family. My birthday party. 43 people watching. Aunt Carol had just asked what he was proud of about me, and those words came out of his mouth like he'd been waiting for someone to ask. Disappointed? Gilbert, she's just a child, my grandmother whispered, touching his arm. He pulled away. She got a B in math, Mama. A B. My daughter's never gonna be nothing with grades like that. His voice carried across our small Detroit backyard, bouncing off the aluminum siding. I remember the exact temperature that day, 87 degrees, because I kept staring at the thermometer nailed to our garage, focusing on anything except the pitying looks burning into my skin. My cousin Shanice dropped her paper plate. The potato salad splattered across her shoes, but nobody moved to help her clean it. My mother, Stephanie, stood frozen by the grill, tongs dangling from her hand. Gilbert, please. Please, nothing, Pat. Somebody gotta tell the truth around here. Look at the Johnson's daughter. Full scholarship to Michigan State. The Williams boy, already taking college courses. And what we got. He gestured at me like I was evidence in a trial. This. That word. This. Not even her, or my daughter. Just this. I felt something crack inside my chest that day, something that wouldn't heal for years. But I also felt something else ignite. A burning determination that would eventually consume everything my father thought he knew about success, failure, and which one of us would end up begging for mercy. I just didn't know it yet. The disappointment label didn't fade. It multiplied like mold in darkness. Every family gathering became another opportunity for my father to showcase his shame in me. I started keeping a journal, documenting each incident with the precision of someone building a case. Thanksgiving 2008. Lisa got a 3.8 GPA. Still not good enough for scholarships, though. Disappointment of the century strikes again. 17 relatives present. Stuffing went cold on my plate. Christmas 2008. She wants to go to art school. Art school. Might as well flush money down the toilet. My mother cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes. My Uncle Bernard pulled me aside during that Christmas dinner. Don't listen to him, baby girl. Your daddy's he's just hard on you. Hard on me. Uncle B, he introduces me to his friends as my daughter who's probably gonna work retail her whole life. I'm 14. Bernard's face tightened. Gilbert was always competitive. When your Aunt Denise's kids started doing good, something in him it broke, I think. But here's what nobody understood. My father wasn't just harsh. He was methodical. He'd researched average salaries for artists, $45,000 annually, he'd announce at dinner. Foreclosure rates for dreamers, his word, and statistics about failed businesses started by people without practical skills. You know what the unemployment rate is for fine arts majors, Lisa? He'd corner me in the kitchen. 27%. You want to be part of that statistic? That's my legacy. The disappointment of the century becomes the unemployment statistic of the decade. My mother tried running interference. Gilbert, she's talented. You've seen her paintings. Talented don't pay bills, Stephanie. Talented don't keep the lights on. Junior year of high school arrived like a storm I'd been watching form on the horizon. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Joyner, called me into her office with a smile that made my stomach twist with hope. Lisa, your portfolio is extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it from a student your age. I'm recommending you for the Pennington Scholarship. Full ride to Rhode Island School of Design. It's incredibly prestigious. I floated home that day, actually floated. For the first time in years, I let myself imagine a future where I wasn't defined by my father's disappointment. I burst through our front door, application papers clutched in my sweating hands. Dad, Mom, I got recommended for this amazing scholarship to RSD. My father looked up from his newspaper. The Detroit Free Press. Sports section. I remember because of what happened next. He set the paper down with deliberate slowness. Rhode Island School of Design. Yes. It's one of the best art schools in the... No. That single word dropped like a guillotine blade. What do you mean no? You haven't even... No, Lisa. You're not going to some fancy art school to waste 4 years learning how to draw pretty pictures. You're going to Wayne State studying business or nursing, and that's final. I'm not signing any application that says otherwise. My mother stepped forward. Gilbert, this is her dream. Her dream. Her dream. His voice shook the kitchen cabinets. I don't care about her dreams, Stephanie. I care about her survival. And artists don't survive. They suffer, then they die broke, and everyone who believed in them suffers too. Mrs. Joyner later told me she'd never seen a parent actively sabotage their child's future before. She tried calling him. He hung up. 3 times. I forged his signature on the application anyway. The acceptance letter arrived on a Tuesday in March. Full scholarship. Housing included. Stipend for supplies. Everything I'd dreamed about, printed on thick cream paper that smelled like possibility. I hid it in my calculus textbook. But my father had started searching my room by then. Just making sure you're not doing drugs or dating thugs, he'd say, as if those were the only 2 dangers in the world. He found it on Thursday. I came home from my shift at the movie theater, $8.25 an hour, saving every penny, and walked into a living room that felt like a crime scene. My mother sat on the couch, mascara running. My father stood in the center of the room, holding the RSD letter like it was covered in filth. So you're a liar now. A forger. That's what the disappointment of the century has become. A criminal. Dad, I just wanted. I don't care what you wanted, Lisa. He ripped the letter. Once. Twice. Kept ripping until it was confetti on our brown carpet. You think you're better than me? You think you're smarter? I've been working since I was 15 years old. 15. I put food on this table. Kept the lights on. And you want to throw away a practical future to play with paintbrushes. Something in my mother finally snapped. Gilbert, stop it. Stop it right now. Stay out of this, Stephanie. No. I won't stay out of it anymore. You've been destroying this girl for 6 years. 6 years. Every holiday, every dinner, every damn day in this house, you tear her down. Why? Because you're jealous. The silence that followed was nuclear. My father's face transformed into something I'd never seen before. Pure, distilled rage mixed with shame. The combination made him dangerous. Jealous? Of what? Of a girl who's gonna end up serving coffee to real professionals? Stephanie, have you lost your mind? No, Gilbert. I've found it. My mother stood up, all 5'3" of her suddenly occupying massive space. I found it watching you systematically destroy our daughter's spirit because your own daddy did the same thing to you. His hand twitched. Just a twitch, but we all saw it. I stepped between them. Don't you dare. Oh, now the disappointment wants to play hero? His laugh was acid. You couldn't even fill out a college application honestly. You're a liar and a failure, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna pay for you to become a starving artist. You wanna go to RISD? You figure out how to pay for it yourself. But you're not doing it from under my roof. Gilbert, my mother started. It's Stephanie. She goes to that art school. She's not my daughter anymore. She's out. Completely out. No money, no support, no family connections. Nothing. She wants to be independent so bad. Let's see how she handles real independence. I felt something crystallize in that moment. Every insult, every public humiliation, every time he'd made me feel smaller than an atom. It formed into something solid and unbreakable inside me. Fine, I said. My voice didn't shake. I'll leave. Lisa, no. My mother reached for me. I'll leave and I'll succeed. And someday, Dad, you're gonna regret every single word you said to me. That's not a threat. It's a promise. He laughed. Sure, baby girl. Sure. I'll be waiting for that day. Right here. In the real world. I moved out that night. 18 years old. $2,847 in my savings account. 2 suitcases. No plan except survival. My cousin Shanice let me crash on her couch in her studio apartment in Midtown Detroit. She was working 2 jobs, Target by day, waitressing at night, and barely surviving herself. Your pops really kicked you out? She asked, watching me unpack my second suitcase. I left. Same difference. That man's always been hard, but this. She shook her head. This is next level. I deferred RISD for a year. Couldn't afford the supplies, the travel, the life. Instead, I worked 3 jobs. Morning shift at a bakery, 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. Afternoon at a call center, noon to 6 p.m. Nights doing freelance graphic design on Fiverr, $5 per logo, $15 for business cards. The call center manager, a white woman named Deborah with kind eyes and coffee breath, pulled me aside after my second week. Lisa, you're falling asleep at your station. I'm sorry, Ms. Reynolds. I'm just. How many jobs are you working? 3. She blinked. 3. Jesus. Why? Saving for college. Something in her expression shifted. She wrote something on a sticky note, pressed it into my palm. My brother runs a digital marketing firm. They need a junior designer. $20 an hour. It's not much, but it's better than $5 logos. That sticky note changed my life. Within 2 months, I was working for TechFlow Digital. Within 6 months, I'd learned more about business than any college could teach me. Within a year, I'd saved $28,000. But I never went to RISD. Because I'd discovered something more valuable than a degree. I understood how businesses actually worked. And I had ideas. God, did I have ideas? My breakthrough came from rage and observation. TechFlow's clients were small businesses, mostly Black-owned shops, restaurants, salons, paying $2,000 monthly for basic social media management. The service was mediocre. The results? Even worse. I was in the break room sketching campaigns on napkins when the CEO David Brennan walked in. Those for a client? No, sir. Just ideas. He picked up a napkin. Studied it. This is better than what my team produces. Who taught you this? Google. Necessity. David laughed. Necessity. The mother of invention and apparently good marketing. How old are you? 19. 19. Jesus. I was getting drunk at frat parties when I was 19. You're designing campaigns that could save my struggling clients. He paused. I'll make you a deal. You take on 3 of our most difficult clients, the ones about to leave us. If you can improve their metrics by 30% in 3 months, I'll give you a $10,000 bonus and promote you to senior designer. I improved their metrics by 200%. In 6 weeks. The salon owner, Mrs. Patterson, called David personally. Whatever you're paying that young woman, triple it. She's made me more money in 1 month than I made all last year. David kept his promise. $10,000 bonus. Promotion. But more importantly, he taught me something crucial. Lisa, you're too talented to be working for anyone else. Start your own firm. I'll be your first investor. 2 weeks before my 20th birthday, I registered my LLC, Prism Marketing Solutions. Starting capital, $15,000 from David, $30,000 of my own savings, and a credit card with a $5,000 limit I promised myself I'd never need. I called my mother that night. First time in 8 months. Mama. She sobbed. Just sobbed. Baby girl, where have you been? Building something. Mama, I started a business. The first year, Prism Marketing Solutions made $127,000 in revenue. After expenses, I personally cleared $43,000. More than my father had made in his best year at the automotive plant. I didn't tell him. Didn't tell any of them except Mama, who I'd started seeing secretly at her sister's house in Ferndale. Your father asks about you, she said during one of our Tuesday coffee meetings. No, he doesn't. He does, baby. In his way. He asks if I've heard from you. If you're alive. She stopped. If I'm failing yet? She looked into her coffee cup. Yes. Tell him I'm thriving. Tell him his disappointment of the century is doing just fine. Lisa. No, Mama. He made his choice. He told me I'd be nothing. He kicked me out. He doesn't get updates on my success. He doesn't get to feel proud now. Year 2, Prism hit $340,000 in revenue. I hired 3 employees. Rented an actual office in the Fisher Building, one of Detroit's most iconic buildings. Every morning, I'd walk through those Art Deco doors and remember my father saying I'd end up serving coffee to real professionals. Now real professionals served me. Literally. I had a coffee service. My employee Gilbert, the universe's little joke, asked me one day, "Boss, you ever gonna tell us your story? How someone so young built this?" Maybe someday, Gilbert. Right now, I'm too busy building the next chapter. But the truth was darker. I was building something so successful, so undeniable, that when my father finally saw it, the realization would destroy him. That was the fuel. Not passion. Not dreams. Revenge. Pure, calculated, methodical revenge. Year 3 was exponential. Prism Marketing Solutions landed a contract with a national restaurant chain, $1.2 million annually. We expanded to Chicago, then Atlanta. I hired 23 employees. Revenue hit $4.7 million. I was 23 years old. Forbes featured me in their 30 Under 30 list. The article headline read, "How Detroit native Lisa Thompson Built a Multi-Million-Dollar Marketing Empire Before Her 24th Birthday." My phone exploded. Interview requests. Speaking engagements. Investment offers. Everyone wanted a piece of the success story. Everyone except my father. Shanice called me the day the Forbes article dropped. "Girl, your face is everywhere. Your pops has to have seen it by now." I don't care. Liar. He was right. I cared. God, I cared. I wanted him to see it, to choke on his words, to realize that his disappointment of the century had become the success story of the decade. But he never called. Never texted. Nothing. My mother told me why during one of our coffee meetings. He saw the article. He printed it out, actually. Has it on his workbench in the garage. And nothing. He just stares at it sometimes. Then he goes quiet for days. That's not an apology, Mama. I know, baby. I know. What I didn't know was that my father's life was imploding. The automotive plant where he'd worked for 27 years was closing. His pension, mismanaged by executives, was worth 60% of what he'd been promised. His mortgage, refinanced during the 2008 housing crisis, was underwater. He was drowning. And I was building an ark that would never have room for him. Because by year 4, Prism Marketing Solutions wasn't just successful. It was legendary. We'd expanded to 7 cities, 53 employees, $18 million in annual revenue. I bought a house. Not just any house. A mansion in Palmer Woods, one of Detroit's most prestigious neighborhoods. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a home office bigger than my father's entire house. I found out about my father's bankruptcy from a Facebook post. Not even from family, from his former coworker, Gary, who posted, "Rough times for the Thompson family. Prayers up for Gilbert as he goes through this financial crisis. Lost his house last week. Lost his house. The house where he'd called me a disappointment. The house where he'd ripped up my RSD acceptance letter. The house where he'd kicked me out. Gone." I sat in my Palmer Woods office. Custom-built floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a garden I'd hired a professional to design, and felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just nothing. Shanice called immediately. "Did you see?" I saw. "You okay?" "Why wouldn't I be okay?" "Because he's your father, Lisa. Because he's losing everything. He lost me first." But that night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the thermometer on the garage. 87 degrees. My 12th birthday. The beginning of everything. My mother called at 2 a.m. "Baby, I need to tell you something." "I know about the house, Mama." "It's not just the house. He lost his pension. His savings. Everything. Lisa, he's working as a delivery driver now. For QuickShip. He's 62 years old, delivering packages in a uniform." Something in my chest tightened. "That's not my problem, Mama. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm telling you. He's different now. Quiet. Broken. He doesn't talk about you anymore. Doesn't talk much at all. Good. Maybe silence is better than cruelty." "Maybe," she whispered. "Maybe." What she didn't tell me, what I'd find out later, was where he was delivering packages. Because the universe has a sense of humor darker than anything humans could design. And fate was about to deal the most twisted hand either of us had ever seen. It was a Thursday in October when I saw him. I was in my office. We'd moved Prism headquarters to a stunning renovated building in New Center, glass and steel, very modern, reviewing quarterly reports with my CFO, James. "Boss, you okay?" James asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Because through my office window I was watching my father walk through our lobby carrying a stack of packages. The QuickShip uniform, navy blue polo, khaki pants, hung loose on his frame. He'd lost weight. A lot of weight. His hair, once thick and black, was almost completely gray. He was 62 years old, delivering packages to my company. To my company. I watched him approach the reception desk. Watched our receptionist, Tanya, smile and sign for the packages. Watched him nod politely, professionally, like he was delivering to just another business. He didn't know. He had no idea this building, this empire, belonged to his daughter. The disappointment of the century. James followed my gaze. "Boss? What's wrong?" "That delivery driver. The older gentleman." "Yeah. What about him?" "That's my father." James nearly dropped his iPad. "That's holy shit. Does he know you own?" "No." "Are you going to tell him?" I watched my father walk back through the lobby, shoulders slightly hunched, moving like someone who'd been carrying heavy things for too long. He pushed through the glass doors, disappeared into the Detroit afternoon. "Not yet," I said. "Not yet." But over the next 3 weeks he delivered to our building 17 times. I watched every time. From my office window. From the conference room. Once from the parking garage as he loaded empty boxes back into his truck. Each time I felt something shift inside me, The rage that had fueled everything beginning to crack, revealing something underneath I wasn't ready to name. I planned it carefully, methodically, the way I'd planned everything since leaving his house 7 years ago. I told Tanya to call me the next time the quick-ship driver arrived, to send him up to my office for signature confirmation on a valuable package. The call came on a Monday morning, November 3rd. Exactly 7 years and 8 months since he'd kicked me out. Miss Thompson, the quick-ship driver, is here. Should I send him up? My heart hammered. Yes. Tell him to come to the executive suite. Top floor. I stood at my office window, watching Detroit sprawl beneath me. This city had raised me, broken me, and rebuilt me, just like I was about to do to my father. The knock was soft, tentative. Come in. The door opened. I didn't turn around, just listened to his footsteps, slower than I remembered, heavier, cross my marble floor. I need a signature for... I turned around. The recognition happened in stages. First confusion, then disbelief, then something that looked like physical pain. Lisa. Hello, Dad. The package slipped from his hands, hit the floor with a thud that echoed through my massive office. He looked at me, at the office, at the view, at the plaques on my wall. Forbes 30 Under 30. Entrepreneur of the Year. Detroit Business Leader Award. This is yours? Yes. All of this? The building? The company? Prism Marketing Solutions. $50 million valuation as of last quarter. 73 employees across 8 cities. Is that all mine? He stumbled backward, catching himself on my guest chair. How when? About 7 years ago. Right after you kicked me out. Right after you told me I'd be nothing. Right after you called me for the 1,000th time, the disappointment of the century. Each word landed like a punch. How? Hard work, talent, and spite. Mostly spite. Lisa, you what? You're proud? You're sorry? Which bullshit apology were you reaching for? My father collapsed into the chair. Not sat, collapsed. Like his strings had been cut. He looked at his hands, weathered and calloused from 6 decades of manual labor. I was wrong, he whispered. About everything. About you. About what mattered. About... His voice broke. I destroyed us. I destroyed you. For what? For my ego? For my fear. Fear? You were afraid. Terrified. Your whole life terrified. Because you were smarter than me. More talented. More everything. And I didn't know how to be proud of that without feeling like I was nothing. Tears ran down his face, dripping onto his quick-ship uniform. So I made you feel like nothing instead. And I've hated myself for it every single day since you left. Something in my chest cracked wider. Hating yourself doesn't undo the damage, Dad. I know. But Lisa, baby girl, I need you to understand something. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm not asking to be in your life. I don't deserve that either. I'm just telling you that you were right. At 18 years old, standing in that living room, you told me I'd regret it. And you were right. The rage that had sustained me for 7 years evaporated, leaving something rawer behind. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. But maybe, the beginning of letting go. I need you to leave now, Dad. He stood slowly, painfully. Picked up his fallen package. Walked to the door. Stopped. For what it's worth, and I know it's worth nothing, you're the most extraordinary person I've ever known. And I'm sorry I spent your whole childhood making you prove it. He left. The door clicked shut. I stood at my window watching Detroit again. 7 years ago, I'd left my father's house with $2,847 and a broken heart. Now I had $50 million and a heart that was finally beginning to heal. Not because of revenge. Not because he'd suffered. But because I'd proven something more important than him wrong. I'd proven the voice in my own head wrong. The voice that had whispered on dark nights that maybe he was right. Maybe I was a disappointment. I wasn't. I never was. And that truth was worth more than any empire. My phone buzzed. Mama, baby, can we talk? Me, yeah, Mama. We can talk. Because forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. And I was finally ready to choose me. Not out of spite, not out of rage, but out of love. The disappointment of the century had become the architect of her own destiny. And that was enough.